You think you know what's happening behind the scenes at WWE? Think again. What we're about to expose will make your blood boil and completely change how you see WrestleMania 42. A massive backstage controversy has erupted between Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes that's so explosive, WWE executives are scrambling to keep it under wraps. But the truth always finds a way out, and what's really going on is absolutely disgraceful. Stick around because the details we've uncovered are jaw-dropping, and by the end of this video, you'll understand why this could destroy everything WWE has been building toward. This isn't speculation, this isn't rumor-mongering, this is what's actually happening right now, and it's worse than anyone imagined. The tension started building months ago, but nobody saw this coming. Roman Reigns, the self-proclaimed tribal chief who dominated WWE for over 1,300 days as Universal Champion, is reportedly furious about the creative direction heading into WrestleMania 42. And Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare who finally completed his story by defeating Roman at WrestleMania 40, is caught in the crossfire of what insiders are calling the most toxic backstage environment in recent WWE history. What makes this situation absolutely infuriating is that both superstars have legitimate grievances, but WWE management seems more interested in playing politics than doing what's right for the fans or the business. Here's where it gets really ugly. According to multiple sources close to the situation, Roman Reigns has been vocal backstage about feeling disrespected by how quickly WWE moved on from his historic title reign. After carrying the company on his back through the pandemic era and beyond, Roman reportedly feels like he's being pushed aside to make room for storylines that don't properly acknowledge his legacy. The man gave everything to WWE, redefined what it means to be a top guy in modern wrestling, and now he's watching as the company plans WrestleMania 42 without giving him what he believes is his rightful spot at the top of the card. But wait, because Cody Rhodes has his own set of frustrations that are equally valid. Cody left AEW, returned to WWE, and spent 2 years building toward his ultimate redemption story. He finished the story at WrestleMania 40, became the face of WWE, and now he's being told that the company needs to balance the spotlight because Roman's ego is bruised. Sources indicate that Cody is absolutely livid about being caught in the middle of what he views as Roman's inability to accept that wrestling is a business where everyone eventually steps aside for the next generation. The controversy intensified during a private meeting at WWE headquarters 3 weeks ago. Both Roman and Cody were called into a conference room with Triple H, Nick Khan, and several other key decision-makers to discuss the WrestleMania 42 plans. What was supposed to be a collaborative creative session turned into what one witness described as an absolute disaster. Roman allegedly made it crystal clear that he expects to main event WrestleMania 42 and that anything less would be an insult to everything he's accomplished. Cody, on the other hand, argued that he's the current champion and the biggest draw in the company right now, so he should naturally be in the main event defending his title. Here's the part that will make you want to punch a wall. WWE's solution to this problem is so cowardly and pathetic that it perfectly encapsulates everything wrong with corporate wrestling today. Instead of making a definitive decision and standing behind it, management is apparently considering a compromise that would satisfy no one and damage both superstars' credibility. They are discussing the possibility of a triple threat main event that would involve both Roman and Cody, but with a third competitor thrown in to dilute the spotlight and deflect from the backstage tension. This is classic WWE booking by committee, where they are so terrified of upsetting either star that they'd rather create a watered-down version of what could be an incredible one-on-one story. But the controversy doesn't stop there. Roman Reigns has apparently been making demands that go beyond just his WrestleMania placement. He's reportedly insisting on creative control over his character's direction, demanding approval over his opponents, and even pushing for changes to how his matches are produced. Some backstage personnel view this as Roman finally showing his true colors as a difficult talent who believes his past success entitles him to dictate terms. Others see it as a veteran standing up for himself after years of doing whatever the company asked without complaint. Before we continue with this shocking story, we have a quick request for you. We are constantly working to improve our content to earn your love and support. That's why we would truly appreciate it if you could take a moment to leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update here on Wrestling Zone Insider. Cody Rhodes isn't backing down either. According to people who've spoken with him recently, Cody feels like he's earned his position at the top and refuses to be undermined by someone who can't handle no longer being the center of attention. What makes this even more explosive is that Cody has significant support within WWE's locker room. Many younger wrestlers see Cody as someone who genuinely wants to elevate everyone around him, while they view Roman's recent behavior as selfish and detrimental to the overall product. This divide is creating fact irons backstage, with talents literally choosing sides between Team Roman and Team Cody. The political maneuvering has reached absurd levels. Roman's camp, which includes Paul Heyman and members of the Bloodline, has been working overtime to remind everyone of Roman's accomplishments and his importance to WWE's bottom line. They've been pointing to merchandise sales, social media engagement, and television ratings from Roman's title reign as evidence that he's still the most valuable asset on the roster. Meanwhile, Cody's supporters have been highlighting recent data showing that since Cody won the championship, overall WWE interest has actually increased, with new sponsors coming aboard and ticket sales for live events hitting new highs. What's truly disgusting about this entire situation is how it reveals the toxic nature of ego in professional wrestling. Both Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes are incredibly talented performers who've dedicated their lives to this industry. They should be working together to create the most compelling WrestleMania possible, not engaging in a backstage power struggle that benefits nobody except the dirt sheet writers who get to report on the drama. Fans don't tune in to watch grown men argue about their spot on the card. Fans want to see the best possible wrestling and the most engaging storylines, but instead, we're getting this nonsense. Here's something that will really make your blood boil. There are whispers that Vince McMahon, despite officially being gone from WWE, has been making phone calls and sending text messages to both Roman and Cody, essentially stirring the pot and encouraging the controversy. Multiple sources claim that Vince sees this as an opportunity to prove that WWE still needs his leadership and creative vision. He's allegedly been telling Roman that Triple H doesn't respect his legacy and advising Cody to stand his ground against the old guard. If true, this is manipulative behavior at its absolute worst, and it shows that Vince cannot let go of his need to control WWE even from the outside. The ramifications of this controversy extend far beyond just WrestleMania 42. Other main event level talents are watching this situation closely and taking notes. Seth Rollins, Drew McIntyre, and Centimeter Punk are reportedly observing how WWE management handles this crisis because it will set a precedent for how stars are treated when they have disputes with the company or with each other. If WWE caves to every demand from Roman or Cody, it opens the door for other talents to make similar power plays. If WWE comes down too hard on either of them, it could create resentment that poisons the locker room atmosphere for years to come. First trivia question for you: who did Roman Reigns defeat to begin his legendary title reign that lasted over 1,300 days? Drop your answer in the comments below. Let's talk about what this means for the fans, because ultimately, we're the ones who suffer when this kind of backstage drama takes precedence over good storytelling. WrestleMania is supposed to be the pinnacle of sports entertainment, the one event every year where WWE pulls out all the stops and delivers unforgettable moments. But how can we expect that when the two biggest stars in the company are more focused on their egos than on putting on the best possible show? This is precisely the kind of self-indulgent behavior that drove fans away from WWE in the past, and if they are not careful, history will repeat itself. The proposed solutions being discussed internally at WWE are equally frustrating. One plan reportedly involves having Roman Reigns face The Rock at WrestleMania 42, which would theoretically solve the problem by giving Roman a marquee match that doesn't involve Cody. But here's the issue: The Rock's schedule is unpredictable, he may not be available for the extensive build-up required, and fans have already seen teases of this match multiple times without payoff. Using The Rock as a band-aid solution to fix Roman's hurt feelings is lazy booking that doesn't address the underlying problem of two alpha males who both want to be the undisputed face of the company. Another option being considered is turning one of them heel, which could add a fresh dynamic to their relationship and potentially set up a match between them at a future WrestleMania. The problem is that both Roman and Cody have specifically stated they don't want to turn heel right now. Roman spent years as a villain and feels he's finally connected with fans as a more complex character who can work as a tweener. Cody built his entire comeback story around being a babyface hero who overcame the odds, and turning him heel would undermine everything they've invested in his character. So once again, WWE is stuck between a rock and a hard place with no clear solution that makes everyone happy. What makes this controversy even more infuriating is the timing. WWE is currently in the best financial position it's been in decades. They have record-breaking television deals, sold-out arenas, a booming merchandise business, and mainstream attention that wrestling hasn't enjoyed in years. This should be a time of celebration and momentum, but instead, we're dealing with backstage drama that threatens to derail everything. It's like watching a championship sports team fall apart because two star players can't get along. Absolutely maddening. The locker room morale has taken a significant hit because of this situation. Younger talents who looked up to both Roman and Cody are now disillusioned seeing their heroes act like spoiled children fighting over toys. Veterans who've been in the business for decades are shaking their heads in disgust because they remember when wrestlers understood that the business came first and personal egos came second. There's a growing sense that modern wrestling has become too much about individual brands and not enough about collective success, and this Roman versus Cody controversy is the perfect example of that troubling trend. Social media has exploded with opinions about this situation, and the fan base is predictably divided. Roman supporters argue that he's earned the right to have input on his creative direction and that WWE owes him for carrying the company through difficult times. Cody supporters counter that Roman had his time at the top and needs to accept that wrestling is cyclical and everyone eventually makes room for the next generation. Both sides make valid points, but the hostility between these fan factions has reached toxic levels, with personal attacks and harassment becoming commonplace in wrestling discussion spaces online. Here's what really needs to happen, even though there's almost zero chance WWE will actually do it. Triple H needs to sit both Roman and Cody down separately, listen to their concerns, and then make an executive decision about WrestleMania 42 that serves the business first and individual ego second. He needs to explain to both of them that their legacies will be defined not just by their in-ring accomplishments but by their professionalism and their willingness to put the company before themselves. If either one refuses to cooperate, there should be consequences, regardless of how important they are to WWE's plans. That's how a leader handles this situation, but unfortunately, WWE has a long history of enabling bad behavior from top stars because they are afraid of losing them. The financial implications of this controversy are also significant. Sponsors and business partners are aware of the backstage tension, and some are reportedly concerned about whether it will affect WWE's ability to deliver on its commitments. If Roman or Cody decided to take time off or request their release because of this situation, it would create massive problems for WWE's booking plans and potentially impact their stock price. The company cannot afford any disruptions right now, which is exactly why both wrestlers have leverage in these negotiations. They know WWE needs them, and they are using that leverage to push their agendas. Second trivia question: what was the name of Cody Rhodes' emotional return event to WWE where he made his comeback after leaving AEW? Let us know in the comments. The psychological toll this is taking on everyone involved cannot be understated. Wrestling is an incredibly demanding profession both physically and mentally, and adding this kind of interpersonal stress makes it even more challenging. Roman Reigns has spoken publicly about his health struggles and the pressure of being at the top of WWE. Cody Rhodes has been open about the injuries he's worked through and the responsibility he feels as champion. Both men are dealing with enormous pressure, and this backstage controversy is only adding to their burden. At some point, someone needs to acknowledge that this situation isn't healthy for anyone and find a way to de-escalate before it causes lasting damage. Looking ahead to WrestleMania 42, fans are now watching every WWE programming with skepticism, wondering whether the product they are seeing reflects the original creative vision or whether it's been compromised because of backstage politics. That's a terrible position for WWE to be in because it undermines confidence in the storylines and makes everything feel less authentic. Wrestling fans are sophisticated enough to understand that some backstage maneuvering is inevitable, but when it becomes this obvious and this disruptive, it breaks the illusion that we're watching a carefully crafted narrative. The absolute worst-case scenario would be if this controversy leads to either Roman or Cody walking away from WWE entirely. While that seems unlikely given the money involved and their contractual obligations, stranger things have happened in wrestling history. If either one decided they'd had enough and wanted to explore other opportunities, it would send shockwaves through the entire industry and potentially damage WWE irreparably. That's why this situation needs to be resolved immediately before it spirals completely out of control.